Hello everybody, SpiritGaming here, and in this video guys, I'm bringing you a complete guide on Soul Dancer class. This class is quite good actually. In this video, we'll be taking a look at what are Soul Dancers good at, what are the stats that you want to use, core setup, set pieces also, ally, CX abilities, some skill rotations, deep talents, and also at the beginning of the video, we will be taking a look, we will be previewing all of the skills for those of you who have not played Soul Dancer or want to learn something more. But if you don't want to see that, because you probably already know that, there are timestamps down in the description below. But before you go to the description, press that subscribe button because it's over there and it's gonna help me a lot. So subscribe for more daily Dragon Raja content. I will be doing either streams or videos every single day for for Dragon Raja. Also subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and yeah, let's jump straight into the topic. The first topic, which is the skill preview. Okay, so this is Ice Glare Shock. This is basically this skill you want to use for damage. This skill has a very low cooldown, as you can see, 5 seconds, and it also heals you a small amount of HP, although sometimes it is useful. And then also you can slow the target as well. Phase shock. Phase shock, Soul Dancer moves through an invisible phase and teleports instantly to the site of the shock wave, deals heavy magic damage up to 5 enemies and causes damaged enemies to take an additional 8% damage for 8 seconds. Soul Dancers will stay at the target location temporarily, 10 seconds cooldown time. So what this means is basically you can actually aim this ability, which is super nice. You can aim it, and wherever you throw the ability, your twin, which is your magic twin, will actually stay there. This twin actually will copy all of these abilities if you use this ability, of course. If you not, then it won't. So yeah, that's basically it. Azure Mark is basically an ability that you set down on the ground that does AoE with DPS damage, so per second damage. This is the range, I guess. You can actually aim it as well. Time expansion. This is a must-use ability every single time before every single combo. It gives you a lot of stuff actually. It gives you crit resistance, move speed, and cooldown reduction level for 12 seconds. You do actually get quite a bit of cooldown reduction, as you can see, 3,000 cooldown reduction. Also crit resistance and move speed by quite a bit. And then when you have someone linked with Soul Dancer's Pact, this is basically an ability that links someone that links you to an ally target. Doesn't have to be a teammate, it just has to be an ally. You basically connect to them, and if you're connected to them without any talents, you will get them this time twist bonus: 30% increased sight, 30% increased movement speed, 20% reduced damage taken, increased cooldown reduction level. So this is what you're gonna give the allies, and it's super good actually. It's super good. Next, let's go with Shadowy Light. Shadowy Light is the ability where it enables your Shadow Twin, this twin right here, to copy your ability. So let's say if I use this ability and then I press this, as you can see, it actually uses itself as well. Although keep in mind, guys, that this ability, when the twin uses that ability, any talents are neglected and only the base effect is activated, okay? So keep that in mind, it's very important. Next we have Recall Light. This basically, as you saw, it's a circle where I think it's still on cooldown. It's a circle where you stay in it, you get some buffs. Of course, this is the buff that you get all the time. This magic defense is physical defense. Neglect that, don't see that, it's a mistranslation, and you actually do get magic attack, which the ability actually says. You do get 5%, I think, magic attack increase, which is attack increase, of course. Doesn't have to be magic attack depending on your allies as well. So you give every single ally increased attack power by 5%, and that's super awesome. You actually increase one more stat, either be crit level, AP, or multi-strike, although the reason why we are not using this Holy Feast talent in every single one of the builds is because that amount of multi-strike or anything else you get is very low, as you can see here. Multi-strike by 634, and I'm level 91, so it's not really useful. Although whatever you do, you will still give increased attack. So that's the most important thing that you keep in mind, that you don't really need to buff up this ability at all. Next we have Time Lock. Time Lock is one of the most important abilities for this class, especially when you unlock your Mimir Spring's cooldown reduction. So twist the time, causing the time within the radius of 4 meters from yourself to stop. The 5 random enemy units, up to 5 random enemy units within will enter a time-space static status for 3 seconds. If the target is controlled by the time stopping within a short period of time, the control time of the time stopping will be greatly reduced. When releasing at the shadowy skill light status, the twins will copy the skill. So basically what I can do is uh, aim this ability somewhere. Let's say I want to stun this bot right here. I do this and I use this ability of course first, and then if I do this, even this bot will get stunned, and also enemies that are near me will get it too. So that's basically that ability, and now we have the Witch's Kiss ability, which is also one of the better abilities. You actually turn people into ducks. Of course, it's only one. You turn one person to a duck if you don't have any skills on or any talents on. What the way to do is you actually turn them into a duck for 3 seconds, which they cannot attack. They can only walk slowly. They cannot dodge or anything like that. And also you will reduce their physical and magical defense by 2.4 thousand. That's depending on your skill ability, of course. Let's take this because it's annoying. So yeah, that's the first part of the ability done. So now let's go into what are sword dancers good at. Okay, well, sword dancers are very good at being a free-to-play player. They're very good at group PvP, of course, group support PvP especially. They don't do the biggest amount of damage, but they have such a large amount of buffs, debuffs, and CC, which is insane. They also have a lot of mobility. Not in terms of dashing, but in terms of movement speed, they have a lot of movement speed compared to other classes. And yeah, so they're very good at group PvP. In 1v1s, they're medium, they're okay. And when it comes to PvE, the team PvE groups are very good. Yeah, this class is very good in team PvE just because of Wimmer Spring. It's a very, very, very good talent. As you can see here, 40% cooldown is reduced for any ally that stays in this ability right here, which is Light Beacon, which we'll talk about as well. So yeah, it is quite okay in group PvE as well. Although when it comes to when it comes to solo PvE and solo PvP, they are not the best. Although they are good as well. They are not the best definitely, but they can counter a lot of other classes, especially the classes that don't have any super armor and that can get kited well and easy. So yeah, that's pretty much about what are they good at. Now let's jump right into the stats. So for stats, you want on the gear especially, you want magic attack, water attack, AP, multi-strike, cooldown reduction, and crit level. Of course, there are alternative stats for this. Let's say you cannot get multi-strike on your gear. You cannot get the drop. Whatever you do, you cannot get the drop of multi-strike on your skills. Then alternative stats for that are insight, intelligence, dexterity, crit resistance. Of course, if you can get that multi-strike, it will be good, so replace that. But if you can't get multi-strike or any of the stats that I mentioned, those are alternatives, which means that most of the things you can actually equip. For the course now, that's it for the stats, by the way. For the course now, we are running either 9 fire, 5 water, 2 wind, 9 water, 5 fire, 2 wind. This is basically because, yeah, sure, you can actually run 9 wind as well, but we don't really need that much damage. You are kind of more focused on supporting it as this class. You don't need to do that much damage. If you are gonna pay a lot in the game, in PvP especially, going as a Blade Master is way more worth it. You get rewarded way more. And when you go into dungeons, assassins and gunslingers are way better. And when you go into solo PvE, like Dragon Slayer or Clash of Swords, gunslinger is out damaging soul dancers as well. So if you want to be the best support class, I would recommend going either 9 fire, 5 water, 2 wind, or 9 water, 5 fire, 2 wind. That's my opinion, of course. Now let's introduce a new topic that I have not done in the previous videos, is the set pieces, okay? So first of all, I need to explain this. So I would suggest two types of set pieces. Okay, so it's either going with 4 of these, 4 of set fairy string, and 4 of set wolf scheme, or going 6 of this set fairy scheme and going with 2 set wolf scheme. The reason why I think even 4 plus 4 is okay, it's not that bad, is because you only lose 60 intelligence or dexterity depending on what 6 set you have on, and um, and you gain both this increased damage on Ice Glare Shock, which you use a lot, and you actually get a shield, a very big shield. We don't want to run 6 of the Wolf Scheme because Reviving Light is not the ability we will use that much. We will use it, but it's not a must. While if you get 6 pieces on Fairy String, you will do a lot more damage. So that is why I would either recommend going 6 pieces for set Fairy String and 2 pieces with set Wolf Scheme, or you can go 4 plus 4, depending on if you want more defenses that the 4th piece gives you here, or you want more damage that the 6 piece gives you here. So it's up to you, but as I said, I would even kind of recommend going with 6 plus 2. Next up, we have allies, of course. The center ally, the best center ally, is gonna be Area again. For the supports, you want Mingzilu, Luminous, Anju, and then you want to add any top tier 6-star ally, or you want to add Cheese again for that bond, of course, with Eri. And an alternative to that is basically going as Anju in the middle, Mingzilu support, Luminous support, and then pick 2 that you think are good, 2 allies that you think are good. Next up, okay, I think this is the most important topic, I guess, is the talents and deep talents. There are a lot of deep talents and talents depending on your playstyle. There are deep talents for supports, deep talents for supports, deep talents for damage, and so on and so forth. So basically, I'm gonna show you my own plans, and every single plan will kind of have an alternative. So listen carefully. So this is my PvE that I use all the time. So this kind of does not have an alternative. This is what you want to use. Of course, I use Vortex right now, but I don't really want to. You want to start using Vortex way more only after you get this next tier breakthrough to level 14 and you get this ability right here. If you have Tyrant's Eye, Whispers of the Ancient God, I mean, this will actually be available very soon. So once you get this skill, this next tier right here that increases your cooldown speed, then you want to use Vortex. But if you don't have that yet, like I do, I personally will use Scorch. Next, for the talents, Ballet in the Snow is better just because we spam this ability. Like Ice Glare Shock is the most spammable ability out of all. Also, you can freeze enemies that are kind of unfreezable. You can actually freeze most enemies, which was kind of good. I have frozen actual bosses in dungeons, which is super awesome. Why don't I use Sand of Time, you ask? That is basically because Ballet in the Snow is your most damaging ability, and getting this much more damage in Ballet of Snow is better than getting more crit level, okay? Then we have Dance with Swans. Why do I use this? Is basically because this is the only good damaging ability in this whole setup. This B-level talent. Then we have for the A-level talent Stop Pendulum. Of course, you don't really need to use this, and you can only use this if you actually time stop enemies. But if you don't, then you want to use Fallen Glacier. So, as I said, there are alternatives to this as well. Of course, if you die a lot, you want to use Lord of Time because it increases 30% reduced damage, which is amazing for 8 seconds as well. But most of the time for damaging abilities, you want to go with Fallen Glacier. And Mimir Spring is a must if you're running one, let's say if this is a PvE, a group PvE dungeon. Keep in mind, guys, you want, in your team, if you have 2 Soul Dancers, you want to run only one Mimir Spring buffer, because they, 1, don't stack, and 2, they have a 2-minute cooldown. Doesn't matter if everyone is using it, they still have a 2-minute cooldown. But Mimir Spring is the best ability in the whole, in the best talent in the whole talent section. It gives you 40% cooldown reduction for 20 seconds, which will allow us to spam an ability, which we'll talk about later. For PvP, this is group PvP, of course. we run Beamer Spring, Stop Pendulum, Law of Time, and Ballet in the Snow. This is the PvP damage set, I would say. This is I guess let's actually go with the plans. I kind of messed up. Let's go with the plans. I guess first with PvE plans, you will actually at level 90 you will actually get 30 points. Right now I have 20. So with those 30 points, I would max this out. I would actually max this out, and then maybe start going to this. Maxing this out is priority, and then getting drive is very good if you want some endurance and mobility. But the others are kind of a must because they do give you a lot of damage. Now let's go with the PvP setup because I messed up kinda. So this is the PvP plan right here that we are gonna use. Ballet in the Snow, as I said, Law of Time, Stop Pendulum, and Mimir Spring. Vortex, of course, if you don't have that cooldown reduction, use Scorch or Creed, or I guess, yeah, it was called Creed. And then we have Light Beacon, of course, because if you have Mimir Spring on and don't have Light Beacon on, it's basically useless. For the advanced talents, of course, now you're gonna see some different stuff. This is a very support type of playstyle. But if you want to go more damage, so this is a support one. If you want to go more damage, you basically want to max this out first. Of course, always max that out. Then we have this, of course. And then here is where the problem starts. Depending on what you want, if you want to debuff the enemies even more and reduce their endurance, you want to max out this. If you want more mobility yourself, you want to max out this. And if you want way more damage, you max out this, which I'm actually gonna do. And then put at least 1 point in either this or this. So it depends on you guys, depends on your playstyle as well. So yeah, that's basically it about the PvP. Why do I use Law of Time? Just because with Mimir Spring and Law of Time, there's a very nice combo. So what you want to do is use Time Expansion, use a Light Beacon, and as you can see here, my cooldown on Time Lock is 3 seconds only for 20 seconds. So I can basically spam every single other ability, and that is why a Law of Time is kind of a must in the PvP section. Of course, in PvE it's not a must, only because you cannot use time lock on every single person. But if you know that you can stun the enemies with time lock, then use Law of Time as well. It will help you a lot. And of course, coming with time lock, with Law of Time, and the combination with time lock. Comes Stop Pendulum, basically meaning that you do 25% more damage to the stun targets from time lock. And yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it about the PvP combos. Now this keep alive combo, I just keep alive plan I made with the help of someone from Discord. Soul Link and Twin Edge. This is basically because most of the time in Ladder of Honor especially, our team is running 2 Soul Dancers, and the other Soul Dancer is going with Mimir Spring, and as I said, it's useless. So what I want to do, especially because I'm completely free to play and I'm kinda useless with any other class, I run Soul Link and Twin Edge just to keep my teammate alive, my pay-to-win teammates alive, especially we have in our team the rank 2 Blade Master in Ladder of Honor, so using Soul Link with that is gonna be very important. Of course, Dance with Swans is not a must, and I would recommend going with Law of Time as well. But keep in mind, if you're using Law of Time, it's not gonna be the best unless you go into your other teammates' Mimir Spring. If you don't have any other teammate and you just want to keep an ally alive, then I do suggest going with Dance with Swans or Lotus Trick, but most of the time Dance with Swans as well. And of course, if you do have that Mimir Spring buff, you can actually go with Lord of Time as well. Although this will kind of help way more because you will do 25% more damage, which is way more damage. But if you want to survive even longer using Time Lock and Lord of Time, this is gonna be your best bet because you have 30% reduced damage taken for 8 seconds, and that's gonna help your team a lot because you won't take that much the HP off of your teammates and you will give back to them way more. Why do I run these deep talents? Of course, first of all, Vortex. is because if you only if you have the skill cooldown reduction for Vortex, but if you don't, then use either Creed or Scorch. Personally, I will use Scorch. Then for the advanced talents, this is a complete like support kind of setup. I want to get this time acceleration, of course. Then we are running dive, of course, because we want to run to our teammates. We want to jump as much as we possibly can, and we want to get to them as fast as we possibly can. Then we have Might of Doppelganger. We max this out because we need to get Blessing and Defend, both of which are pretty good. Although if the if any teammate doesn't stay in this when a Recall Light pops, they won't get this deep talent. So what I would suggest is maybe, possibly, most likely, either remove this completely and go with Gravity Effect uh, if you want to soul link with, let's say, a gunslinger or someone that doesn't have super armor that much, or you can unequip everything from this and go with weak, which will give you a lot of debuff potential. And next we have the 1v1 skill tree, which is very close to the PvP one, and it's almost the same. Of course, I want to answer this. Why do I run drive everywhere? You don't have to. I just do it because I like want the mobility like so much. That mobility is super good. As you can see here, I can jump 5 times, by the way, instead of 4, because I have Wind Tamer, and the endurance that you get is very, very nice. Especially if you combine this with the Unbreakable Will. Unbreakable Will Draconic, it's gonna be even better. But whether you use this again, CC, this CC is very, very good. Also does a lot of damage, and that's the ability you're gonna spam the most, especially if you're against Blade Masters and fighters that have a lot of super armor. You want to spam this ability as much as you possibly can. Of course, a lot of time we will use it just because we want that time lock feature that I just told you. But of course, if you're playing against Blade Masters, if you get them once with the ability, you will be good. But if you don't, then this right here is gonna be useless. Which brings me to my next point. Why do I use Stop Pendulum? You can actually change it up depending on what you're facing. So Stop Pendulum if you're facing, let's say, a Soul Dancer or someone that doesn't have that much super armor, and if the enemy does have a lot of super armor, I would suggest going Fallen Glacier, which I will actually stick right here. Because it makes me spam Ice Glitter Shock even more than I already have. The deep talents, of course, are the weak Might of Doppelganger. We want time acceleration, and then Water Mastery. As I said, around drive, of course, you don't really have to. But if you have 30 points, especially when we hit level 90, you can actually max this out and then this out as well, which is gonna be your best bet. But if you don't want that mobility, you can actually go this and this, of course, depending on your own playstyle. I personally run drive almost on anything because I love the mobility it gives you. Again, Scorch if you don't have the Vortex thing, but if you do have Vortex thing, then you want to run Vortex. Now, why do I use Light Beacon always, even though I don't have Mirror Spring right here? It gives you a lot of supporting potential. Let's go to the ability. It's maxed out, of course, so if you're not that good, if you're not that big of a level, it's still very good just because it gives you all of your allies super armor. And actually, not just super armor, even if you see someone that's stunned, you can use this and remove the control effects from him and also give him super armor for 4 seconds. And that includes all 5 allies that you have. So basically what you want to do, especially in group PvP, is run to someone that's stunned, that you see that is stunned, of course, and press this on them. They will run away very fast, and that's why I want that. Now for the skill rotations, there are not that many skill rotations, guys. The ones that I will show you are basically situation based, like a lot of situation based, but 99% of the time, especially if you're fighting against Blade Master fighter, you want to spam your first page of skills. Of course, I can't use this, but I don't have anything tag. Let's just go to the bear. Especially guys, as I said, if you're running against Blade Masters and fighters, maybe the only possible situation you can is use this first, but that's a maybe, a big maybe. And if you can't do that, then you just want to dash around a lot because they will stun you. So dodge around a lot and always use this ability first. Use Ice Glare Shock, use this for the reduced armor they will get. Use Azure Mark, and then also run around always. So that is basically what you want to do against Blade Masters. Of course, if you have Vimir Spring on against Blade Masters and fighters, you want to spam again, as I said, your first abilities. Of course, I didn't get the buff because I didn't wait for the 2-minute cooldown to pass up. But as I said, against those guys, you don't really need to spam these abilities at all. While if you're playing against, let's say, a Soul Dancer or someone that doesn't have that much super armor, um, you want to start off with turning people into a chicken. Let's actually wait. Okay, that was a bug, I guess. I slided to somewhere. Let's wait for the Mimir Spring buff to pop. Okay, 20 seconds. That's enough. Basically, what you want to do is actually let me change to Vortex as well, because I know most people already have Whispers of the Ancient God, which I'm looking for, like extremely. Like I look in the shop always. If you have this on, of course, the position you want to start in or whatever you want to do is right here. Let me just wait this out, of course. You actually want to start off with using your witch's keys, of course, and once you turn them into a chicken, you can actually use light beacon, which increases your cooldown reduction. Use this as well, this time lock feature, and that will give you enough time to use this, and then basically spam both of these abilities as much as you possibly can. But keep in mind, for this bug to not bug, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's not bug in the nearest of ways. You must use time lock whenever you can. Okay, that's basically what you want to do when it comes to PvP against other players. When it comes to PvE, you always want to use this ability right here because it does give you damage. Of course, this critical strike up is not that much, but when it comes to the attack, as you can see, it says magical and physical defense, but it gives us attack. You can see here, as you saw, it gives us 5% both, which is awesome. So yeah, that's basically it. You want to, for PvE, you want to start off with this ability and then basically spam out the other abilities as much as you possibly can. Of course, you will most of the time you will use this ability, especially because it's such a low cooldown. But whenever you have the time to use this, use it because it will lower the enemy's defenses. I think that's about it. Oh no, let's talk about the one more plan, I guess, which is the battle simulator with the bug. When it comes to the bug, of course, let's change this up. You cannot use ballet in the snow. That's why you want to use Sand of Time. You want to use Dance with Swans, and you want to use Fallen Glacier. This is basically the thing you want to run against battle simulator people that are bugged out. Of course, if they're not, then use your regular PvP one. But until they fix it, of course, now I'm recording this video on 23rd of May, so if the bug is fixed when you're watching this video, you want to run your regular PvP setup, of course. But if it's not, that is what you want to run. Also keep in mind to get every single pet and ally out of there if they have CC of some sort. So yeah, that is basically the guide, guys. Leave any suggestions down in the comments below. Of course, timestamps for every single thing will be down in the description below as well. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Again, as I said, subscribe for more daily Dragon Raja content. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment with feedback, of course. And see you on the next video or stream. Bye bye, guys.